Good morning. It's Friday, February 23rd, 2024. The past couple videos, I don't know if I was saying the right year. I don't know if I was saying 2024 or 2023. If I was saying 2023, I apologize. It's odd though because it's odd because I look at my phone. Like I got to turn my phone on and off real quick so I can see the date. So I look at the date just before I say it. I also have to get and I've said this for about a year now, I have to get a phone holder for the dashboard, so instead of looking at me, you can see the pretty route that I take in the middle of the night in total darkness. So, why did I start recording? Good question. I guess a couple of things. I made steak last night. It was globally cheered. Like everyone loved it. I make a good steak. Yesterday's steak was difficult and expensive, and I'll probably never eat steak again. It was very expensive. So the T-bones. I don't like cooking T-bone steaks, and I don't know why I don't think of this at the time. I think I do. Partially I'm being lazy. What are you talking about? Partially I'm being lazy. Partially it's I'm afraid it won't cook right. So anyway, got some T-bones. I have to cook them one at a time because they're larger cuts, but you're paying for the bone. So they're just harder to cook because they've got the bone and they're bigger, and they take up the whole pan. So like I don't do the oven cook anymore. I used to, sear on both sides, throw into a 500 degree oven. I really don't see the difference. If you let your steak get up to room temperature, and then sear it on both sides, and I'm not a single flip guy. I do like to go back. I do like to put a little bit of butter, on it at the end. The point being is because I'm not putting it in the oven and I'm cooking it for a relatively short period of time, I got to do the perimeter, render the fat, blah blah blah. And I don't have an exhaust fan, so I fill the kitchen with aerosolized oils and grease. But anyway, long story short, they were delicious and everybody loved them. And part of the reason they were delicious is because I meant to make them. Well, yesterday was the day I made them. I meant to make them the day before, but I forgot that we had a vet appointment for the cat. So I prepped them. I got what I do when I make steaks. I always have them out for at least an hour before I'll cook them. So I'll take them out. I'll get a cookie sheet and a couple of metal trays, metal racks on the cookie sheets to place the steaks on. Then I cover them in a rub. My rub consists of salt, pepper, garlic powder, and then I like to put a little bit of a blackened seasoning on it, whether it's, I can't remember the name of it, like Zatarain's is what I like to use, but I haven't found that in years, so what I've been using is Perdome's blackened redfish dust. But any blackened seasoning will do. So I rub that into both sides, the salt, the pepper, the garlic, and the blackened seasoning, and then I let them sit on the racks above the cookie sheet for an hour. I pat them dry before I start this whole process, whether they're visibly wet or not. I pat them dry, and I don't understand the science behind it. The salt permeates the salt dissolves, permeates the membrane, carries the flavors inside. It pulls the waters. What it does is it pulls the waters to the surface, and then it gets reabsorbed. And that's why you do that, and that's why you let it sit. So anyway, we had a vet appointment, and it was unfortunately at 7 o'clock. So it cuts the evening. It cuts the evening in half. It just makes the evening much shorter because, you get home, you do a couple chores, then you got to rush out to the vet. And we were there for a really long time because our veterinarian loves our cat. Everybody loves our cat. It's this cute little fat short-tailed furball. It's a pixie bob, and it's like the friendliest cat in the world. It's it does really well with people. So anyway, we were there with him for a really long time. They gave the cat way too many treats. He got his cat treatment. He's all better now. So anyway, that being said, the steaks ended up going into the refrigerator on the resting tray overnight, which is fine. In fact, that's the best way to do it. 1 hour isn't quite enough to get that penetration of flavor. So they sat in the refrigerator overnight. Before I got home really late yesterday, which is the actual story I want to get into. But I got home really late yesterday, so I called ahead. I said, hey, do me a favor, pull these out of the refrigerator so they start to come up to temperature. They did, and then I cooked them, and they were delicious. What I generally do, I have an electric element stovetop, so I turn it up to about 7.5. I let the skillet come up to temperature. I chop up some garlic. I throw it in there. I let that blacken a little bit. Then I throw in a little bit of oil, and I use the garlic to mop the oil around the pan. And then I push that all off to the side, all the garlic chunks, and then I start searing my steaks. Basically about 2 minutes per side, and it depends on how you see the like if there's steam coming out from underneath, or like what kind of spatter you're getting. Like it's kind of a feel thing. You might want to check it after like 1.5 minutes, make sure you're not burning it. If you haven't done this before, like don't go with hard and fast things, because everybody's stove is different, everybody's frying pan is a different thickness. My favorite frying pan, the one I use all the time, it takes about 2 minutes at 7.5 to get that really nice good sear on the first side. The one of the things you may run into is that first sear will draw some of the heat out of the pan, so when you flip to the second side, it will not sear as quickly. So I haven't spent the time adjusting, like 1.5 minutes through the first side. Do I crank it up to 8? Do I crank it up to 8.5? So that when I flip the steak over, it's already back up to temperature. They're little things. All you have to do is just maybe turn it up a little bit once you flip to the second side. Flip it to the second side, do your couple of minutes or whatever, maybe a little bit longer. And then what I like to do is put a little bit of butter, flip it back to the first side for maybe a minute or two, depending on how seared it was the first time. Yesterday it came out great, so I literally only had to flip it back for a few moments. But put a little bit of butter on the second side for help when I flip it back over. So it goes back to the second side for the second time. I butter the top, and then I let it continue to cook until it's done. Which means, like, if you did the math there, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's just about everything I cook takes about 7 minutes. So anywhere between 6 and 8 minutes is about how long it takes to cook a steak the way I cook it. And it comes out nice. It's got a nice bark on the outside. It's got a nice char, whatever you call that brown stuff on the outside of a steak. So anyway, it was. The kids loved it. The wife and daughter loved the steak, as they always do. I make a good steak, and I put way too much effort into it. So there's that. Oh, and the reason I got home late. So that's where we're going with this. And potatoes. I used to spend a lot of time making baked potatoes. I would make this. I'd crush garlic and salt, oil, and then I would marinate the potatoes, rub them in this oil concoction, salt, garlic, real garlic powder, pepper, some spices. I'd put them in tin foil. I'd throw them in the oven and cook them, and they turned out really good. And then one day I learned, if you take a potato and you throw it in the oven for an hour, that's it. Just take it and put it in the oven and cook it for an hour. It's almost as good. It's there's very little difference. All the effort I was putting into to try to make a great potato was wasted. It was just dumb. It was just extra wasted tin foil and fluff. If you want to greatly increase the value of your baked potato, the last couple minutes of cooking, literally the last 5 minutes or so, just rub some brush some melted butter on them, and you'll get a slightly nicer, crispier outside. That's about it. That's literally all you have to do to make an excellent baked potato. So I got out of work late. We got visitors in from afar, and I got stuck in a meeting. And that's the whole story. I got stuck in a meeting. I could have left, but I was stuck there much longer than I normally am. and because I have a very long commute, and there's a window, and I've explained this before. If I don't leave the building right around 3:20, if I get out of the building at 3:30, it literally adds almost an hour to my trip because of traffic. I didn't get out of the building until after 4 o'clock because this meeting ran long, and I never got home. I never got home. I got close, and I looked around, and I just started heading the other way and turned on the camera. It's not true. I made steak last night. But anyway, yeah, I got home really, really late, so what are you going to do? But it reminded me of, for some reason, it reminded me of some of the things, because everybody has a different way of doing business. Every business could use some improvement. Ours definitely could. There's issues that we're addressing up and down the entire chain. It's an older company, so there's a lot of things that are ingrained in people, behaviors, systems, procedures. That all needs to be upended at some point. But I was watching. I've been observing people, and it's not just my company, but I fear the onslaught of consultants. I've never been a fan of consultants. I'm not saying the ones we have currently aren't good. I'm just saying in general, as a rule, I don't like consultants because I've had bad experiences with all of them in the past, except for one. In my entire lifetime, I've met one consultant who actually seemed like he was really there, like to work himself like this, and that's what consultants should be doing. They shouldn't be lifelong partners. They should come in, there's a problem that you need, they should work their hardest to solve that problem so that you don't need them anymore. I hate consultants that say, like, we'll guide you forever through this sea of, like, no, we're a 100-year-old company, we have an issue, get us through this issue. If we have another one, we'll bring you back. Hold on one moment, please.
Hey, for you.
Hi, could I have a large black coffee, please?
Should a large black coffee?
Yes.
Anything else?
That's it.
Hello.
Great. Give me a moment. Is there fog in here? What is that?
Hello, 317.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
There.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great day.
You too. I guess I have to show it to you, but it's literally perfect. It's on the back of the cup, nowhere near the sippy spout. So let me show you so you believe me. I don't have to show you. I'm sure you would believe me. There's the seam all the way around here is the sippy spout. Like literally diametrically opposed. The perfect lidding. He deserves a reward. Maybe I'll call corporate later and say, hey, I was at Dunkin' Donuts earlier. I got the perfect coffee. I mean, the coffee, I haven't tasted it yet, but the lid was on well. It was really on well and proper. And I sound like a crazy person. Probably not much crazier than normal. So consultants, I don't generally like them. I mean, they're great. They generally go from place to place. They've studied techniques and methods for problem solving. Obviously, a lot of people will be like, well, you don't understand our issues. And that might be true. You might have unique issues. Like, did you just change paths? Did you just say you like consultants? No, I said they serve a purpose and they can bring great value to a situation because they're especially because they're outside. They don't know your business, which is oftentimes very, very good because you might know your business too well and be doing the wrong things. But on the other hand, if you've been using the same consultants for years and years, then I just see a problem with that. Like your business is evolving. You don't need to keep paying people. Like you need to internalize these things. You need the people that are involved. Like you can bring in consultants, you can bring in people to teach you other ways of thinking, but then again, you also have to be careful about what styles you use. Like they recycle these. Like they, unfortunately, corporate world, because there's so much turnover, I think people have a really short memory. And I've been exposed to many different ways of thinking. And like there's pros and cons to all of them. And the ones that are like a cult, like if someone's introducing to you a new way of attacking problems, and it'll sound great, they'll usually give it some kind of an acronym. An acronym is something else. An acronym that rolls off the tongue really well, and it's easy to remember. And in the when they're telling you about this, if they say the name of the system more than 37 times, they're using psychological tricks on you, so that like they're just imprinting the name of the thing on their mind, and they'll be using obvious examples of things that were done, but those things that were done may not actually be a result of the system that they're selling you. Like they'll give you an example of like, let's say their acronym is change, like, you know, and then like I'm making up a word, so now I got to figure out, like, I should have practiced this and made something up so I sounded cohesive. But like, let's see, what could C stand for? Well, C could be change in change. So the thing is, like, change and examples would be like, you know, change. I don't know, what are things that exist? You got stoplights. So one of the, like, change the lights. Light bulbs that are in stoplights are very inefficient. Change them to LEDs. Then all of a sudden that change has created a you know, less of a power draw on the grid, and you know, it's more energy efficient. I use that example because it's the first one I thought of, that's why. But there's certain things about that example. Yes, that is absolutely true. But that change was not, when it took place, it wasn't because a bunch of people sat in a room and were saying, you know, stoplights are an incredible draw. Like, no, that was just the natural progression. That was the next stop. That was the next step in a larger thing that's happening in the world. We're moving to LEDs and more efficient lighting systems. It wasn't a specific decision made about stoplights. All lights are being replaced. So they'll give examples like that, which has nothing to do with their method, the change method. And that's the thing. Like, they'll keep saying that's the power of change, or that's how. And there's other things where there are, instead of solving your problems, they'll do seminars on, like, maybe not solving specific problems in your company, but they'll roll in with a new, training your workforce on a new dynamic of thinking, you know, like thinking in metaphors and analogies. And that is a useful tool if you're able to think in metaphors and analogies, but it's also looked down on sometimes, because when you're thinking in metaphors and analogies, you feel I feel it makes you I feel that it gives you the sense that it makes you feel smarter, and then you're expanding your understanding, and you're not. You're creating links that really aren't there. It may give you some insights, and I guess what I want to say is it gives the illusion of progress. There probably are many instances where you do reach the solution by using that method, but I doubt highly that more than 95% of them wouldn't have been reached without just regular problem-solving techniques and a little bit of analogy. You can let your mind wander, but it can't be the de facto, like, you know, okay, let's pretend our car is a tree. Now, what does a tree need? Like, yes, it's a fun exercise, and it's I feel like it's more mental masturbation than anything else. These opinions, of course, are not endorsed by Major League Baseball. They're just mine and mine alone. And I'm probably wrong on all of it, but like I said, I don't like consultants in general, and I hate anything that feels like a cult. Oh, and that's what I forgot to mention. I've been involved in multi-level marketing campaigns, and a lot of them, like the Amways of the world, a lot of them are presented much the same way that consultants present their wares or teaching techniques or their problem solving courses. Like, it's just repetitive, and the worst part is, like, every single one of them always says, you know, you have to use this method. Don't let any, like, you know, let us guide the journey. Make sure that nobody's doing anything else. You can't have any conflict, and it's built in from the top down, so that the hierarchy always says, like, no, this is how we're doing it now. So if you have any innovation, it has to go through this process. And there's a million reasons why. But that's the worst thing in the world. There are problems that can be solved by people completely disconnected, and it doesn't have to be tracked, as long as there's a rule in place. Like, okay, if this is how you're doing it now, just update the documentation. These are small changes. Not everything needs a committee of 32 people and needs to be pushed all the way up to the President's Council. If you see a problem, solve it. Bring, obviously, the hierarchy, like let your boss know, your boss's boss know. But when you have a system in place that punishes you for making improvements unless you go through this giant formal thing, like for giant process changes, I understand. Again, I don't think you need the outside consultants for this, but for big process changes, I understand, especially if you're in a government facility or something like that. You have, in order to be ISO compliant, you have to basically, it doesn't matter if what you do is inefficient, but you have to do what your processes say you do, because if you don't, then that's a violation. And it's nice to be able to say this is how we do things. So anyway, I may just be belly aching about the bureaucracy involved in change, but it does bother me to some degree. I don't think I intentionally meant to talk about that specifically, but there you go. None of this applies to my company. I am happy with everything they're doing there, by the way. It's what I see on the outside, what I see going on in the world. I hate to end it on like what sounds like a down note. It is Friday. I may make a video tomorrow. I have to work on Saturday. I'm in charge of who works, and like, unfortunately, I'm forcing myself to work on Saturday. That sounds really stupid, but yeah, I've closed us for Sunday. Somebody else would have covered Sunday if we were open. We were thinking about being open for a specific job that's going through, but I think the customer's not supplying us with the information we need, so it's Saturday only. So anyway, the point is, like, I may make one of these. I have to get up significantly earlier on Saturdays and or Sundays if I'm working Sundays to get to work, so I may be way too tired to hit the record button. So we'll see what happens. I haven't made a driving home video in a while, and I think I explained it. I know it's been a couple months since I've been posting videos, but I think I explained when I'm driving home. I really am burnt out from the day. It's been rough lately. There's a lot of challenges to overcome, and we're working through them. And I've been feeling really defeated at the end of the day, and I'm just not in the mood to make one of these videos. Barely in the mood in the morning. Like I said, it's crazy early. I get to sleep, but it's like I've never gotten used to getting up this early. I am not a morning person, not at all. So I can't believe I make these videos. Working Saturday, something. Haven't made afternoon videos. I thought I was going somewhere with that. Don't know. If we were making up a method for changing corporate think, and we were using the metaphor, the word change. I mean, it sucks for the C to be the word change. But what would the other words represent? Like H. Hawk your wares somewhere else. A could be adapt. N. Negotiate. Like, what do you negotiate? Negotiate with the internal stakeholders and the external customers, like negotiate is a way of changing your product. I don't know. Might have to rethink that one. G, get out while the getting's good. Grow. All kinds of things we could throw in there, like grow your mind, grow your product, grow your business, grow your ideas. Grasp. I don't know. I think there's a lot of good avenues there. So that one's not going to require much thought. And then E, eliminate, eviscerate. I like eviscerate, not in this context, but eliminate. You can eliminate waste, eliminate components, eliminate your enemies. Be like a dialect. Exterminate. So anyway, my point is that I didn't pick a good one, or at least I'm not putting the brain power into it to make it into a good one. See, instead of like change could be the overriding word, and then the first C, the C in change would be cooperate, like, bring some diverse minds into the problem. So the first step is to cooperate, get the problem out there to the masses. You see where I'm going with this. We could easily turn this into a cult course where it's like you need to use the change mentality, and if you're not using the change mentality, then you're not part of the solution. You have to commit yourself to this path, and you can't allow anybody to deviate from this path. You must use our course, and that gets drilled in. Like it just seems to be the core of any process improvement thing, is you have to use this process. You can't deviate from this process, because if you deviate from this process, we're not getting paid. So anyway, I'm still ranting about that. And that's really the only, that is the major thing that I don't like, is that once something like that grabs a hold, you can't get out of it, because you have no power to resist if you're in the downstream. Because they've metaphorically drank the Kool-Aid, and now they're committed, and that's what they have to do, and just self-perpetuating. It's built into the course. What are you going to do? So I might make a video tomorrow because I have work. I haven't mentioned Matt in today's thing. I wonder if he does that. I know he is into, he's all about self-improvement. He reads self-improvement books. He reads the memoirs of champions, like sports guys and business elites. I should waste his time with my silly speech. He may see it. He may log in and see this video. He's like, I've got 6 subscribers on this channel, which boggles my mind. I think he is still one of them. I'm not sure if my new videos are still showing up in his feed, but we'll find out. They may show up in his feed. I doubt he would watch them, but there you go. Anyway, I'm sure this rant has gotten me in all kinds of trouble, but what are you going to do? All right, have a wonderful day.